As we have seen, in case of success, we are going to return this structure. But what about a case of failure? What about if we have an error? Well, if we have an error, it's very simple. All we need to do is that we need to use the response array, but this time the error is going to be true. The error is going to be equal to true, because this, at this point, else, it means that we have an error. It means that the statement failed, we couldn't execute the statement, and there is an error. So the error is going to be true. And then we can also include a response message. So the message here can say something like we have an error, or we couldn't execute query, and that is it. And it's also considered one of the best practices to close connection to the database once you are done here. Once you are done, it's better to say statement and then close. It's not mandatory, but it's considered one of the best practices to close the connection once you have executed everything here at this point. And we are done. Finally, we need to display the results. So here, display results, because remember, we have executed the query, we have fetched all the data that we want, and in case of error, we also stored a couple of keys in the response array, and we want to display the results after all of this. So how can we display the results? Well, to display the results, we use JSON encode function, because JSON is very common, and JSON is probably used in many applications. And if you use JSON, you will have the advantage of using this API for pretty much all applications. Therefore, I'm going to use the function called JSON encode, and this function is going to convert the response array into JSON. So this function takes the response. That's it. And finally, we need to use the echo to echo the result. So I'm going to say here echo. This is going to echo the JSON encoded array, which is the response array. And make sure at the top, that the header says content type application JSON. As I explained earlier, this is important in case you want your application to work. In case you want your API to work for all with all applications, you need to specify the content. If you don't specify the content, it's still gonna work, but it might not work for all applications. So it's better to specify the header. Let's now save everything. Let me click here on File and then Save All. And let me show you how you can test your APIs. So how can you test your get all movies? How can you do that? Well, the easiest way is to use the browser. So I'm going to open up my browser.